So what's your process?
Well, we were getting signatures before we came to the show, and I'm sure the same with Tony. We go back out when we leave. We take the suits off and hit the streets again, because we have people out right now across the city, as I'm sure as the other candidates do, knocking on doors and standing in front of stores and going through the senior citizen places and trying to get the signatures we need. We're confident we'll get them, but it's a challenge.
How's the fundraising? Do you have a fundraising committee, or are you taking funds from the public fund? I think they have this new financial reform law now.
Well, actually, it's called the Democracy Fund. I'm sure maybe Tony will elaborate on that when he comes on the stage. And we opted out of that. We actually initially planned to go into that, but we looked at it, and again, and regrettably, we made a decision to not be a part of the Democracy Fund. And we were out, taking contributions from $1 to $1,000, because you allow them the traditional system, like the Stefano's doing, to go up to $1,000. The Democracy Fund limits you to $340 per person. Right. But we opted to go that route because we feel we're in a dogfight with John DeStefano, who has over like $250,000 in his treasury already, and I'm sure he'll get more now that he's the nominee. Right. Time is on the show. But I wanted to, if I could, briefly come back to the critical issue of the violence and addressing that. I mean, it has to be. I think that's an issue probably we hear most around the city.
Oh yeah,
about how you
more in the summer, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean, exactly. What are you going to do about that? And it's a major issue. So I think. And we all agree, I think all the candidates agree, we need to look at the police department in terms of the law enforcement component, which is a critical part, and revisit community policing, have more police officers on the street, visible, so the community knows who they are, and the police know who the community residents are. They can have a relationship there and a camaraderie, and that garners respect and cooperation. And that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is really the crime is to have more youth activities, either in the schools or in churches or synagogues, or find a reopen place, whether it's the Q House or that we have Martin Luther King School, which is abandoned now vacant now on Dixwell Avenue in the heart of New Orleans. That could be a place that could be converted into a youth center, perhaps. To try to address some of the concerns of the youth. Because I hear it, sure Tony hears it as well, that the young people tell us, look, I wouldn't be on this street corner, Mr. Graves, if I had a job.
You didn't attend the town committee. And where the current mayor was there and he got the endorsements. And then I guess a few days later you had said in a press conference in your headquarters that you're going to boycott the whole event, saying that the whole process is skewed.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Okay, well, briefly, what Mike Nice is talking about is the Democratic Town Committee process. Basically, in every ward, there are 30 wards in the city, was biased in that, and on a couple of occasions, there were like town committee meetings set up on the same night, at the same time. In fact, one night in particular, I think July 20th, and Tony will probably speak on this too, that there were 4 meetings held at the same time on the same night. And so it's physically impossible for a candidate, candidates for mayor certainly, to be in 4 different places at once. And so our concern is that it had to be that way. And, if you have plenty of time to plan this, if you're the Democratic town chair, you have a process. So especially people don't know you, and you have an opportunity to meet people. Whereas the mayor, of course, has been around 18 years. Everybody knows him, and he didn't have to make all the ones. He could send surrogates, people in his place, which he did on many occasions. So our protest was centered on the fact that the process is flawed. There's some shortcomings in the process, which even, quite frankly, Susan Voigt, the town committee chair, admitted. She said, you know what, we need to work on this because it does need some tweaking and some work on. So we brought that to the attention of the public, and as it was a principal position to make. There was no disrespect to New Haven.
Do you think New Haven is really ready for a Muslim mayor?
Actually, I'm not Muslim.
You're not?
I'm not. I'm Christian. This was more of a style piece than anything else, a cultural thing. But I'm a baptized Christian. Okay. Remember Dixwell United Church of Christ, Dixwell Avenue United Church of Christ, Christian church.
And so you
all my life. Well,
thank you.
But this question was not. They're ready for another African American mayor, and I think both Tony and I would agree, and I'm sure Bob would too, that we are. And it's way past time. We only have one, John Daniels, that both Tony and I work for. And to make that happen, and I think it's just been too long, quite frankly. But it's beyond race. But the question is not really about race. The race is about competence and about who can best serve and serve this city.
Well, I was going to go back to